In New Hampshire, what's the margin right now?
It's about 20, depending on the poll that Donald Trump has. But
so he's ahead by 20 over you or Haley.
Correct.
Okay.
And you know, as I say to you guys during the break, you know, the interesting thing though is when you look into the crosstabs of the poll, the detail of the poll, they tell you that nearly 3/4 of Donald Trump's supporters are saying they could change their mind between now and primary day, which is 57 days away. So, you know, from my perspective, that's what you got to do. You got to go out there and change minds. And that's why I'm spending a lot of time on the ground in New Hampshire. We're spending our advertising dollars in New Hampshire. And what we got to do is nominate someone who can win the general election. Donald Trump, by the time we get to the general election, will have been convicted by a jury in Washington, D.C. You saw new reporting this morning that Vice President Pence has met with the special counsel and is going to be a witness. Mark Meadows has signed an immunity deal. Well, you know what that means. I did this for 7 years. You don't give someone immunity if they haven't committed crimes. So Mark Meadows is going to say he committed crimes, and he's going to accuse Donald Trump of committing crimes under oath, not some left-winger.
You did this as a former prosecutor,
yeah,
to point out, not
that's
as somebody,
right. Not as someone who committed crimes, no. As someone who prosecuted crimes for 7 years in the 5th largest office in the country. And here's the thing. If Mark Meadows sits on a stand, raises his hand and takes the oath, and says, I committed crimes in Donald Trump's name, and he committed crimes too, you can't blame that on a two-tiered system of justice. You can't blame that on some left-wing prosecutor. That's a former founder of the Freedom Caucus.
It's still possible that a convicted Donald Trump could be the nominee.
It absolutely is. And what that will lead to is a Joe Biden second term. Mitt
Romney said, I'll vote, a Democrat would be better, I'll vote for a Democrat if it's Donald Trump. Would you vote for Joe Biden versus Donald Trump?
I couldn't vote for Joe Biden. I just couldn't, because I just don't think when you watch him day to day.
Is Mrs. Christie going to be on your ballot?
Mrs. Christie could be on my ballot. She would be a better choice for sure. And Joe Biden just is too...
But you won't support Trump?
No.
No matter what.
Look, here's the thing. I can't support a convicted felon.
Well, you wouldn't support him even if he isn't.
I'm a former prosecutor.
You wouldn't even if he isn't.
Right. But here's the thing, Joe. Like, it's now this has become a certainty in my view with Meadows' testimony. And so now they're asking someone like me, who's a former prosecutor, to support a convicted felon for president. Think about this. He can't even vote for himself. If he is convicted in April or May, which I expect he will be, he will not be able to vote for himself in November. That's who we're going to put on the ballot. What do you think the Democrats are going to talk about from that day to November? All they're going to talk about are the crimes he committed to try to overturn the election. And they just submitted a brief, his lawyers, saying he never took an oath to support the Constitution. Well, hell, man, I was there. I heard him say, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. I heard him say it. They're even denying that now. If you think that's not going to be the main thrust of the Democrats' campaign, if he's the nominee, you're living in fantasy land.